Hey, what's up everybody, this is One, and today I want to show you guys one of the most overpowered builds in Borderlands 3. And this is the Moze build I'm using to farm Mayhem 3, and this build is much more focused on killing big groups of enemies, so farming circles of slaughter, doing trials, just farming groups of mobs on the world, and less focused on farming bosses. But with the gun damage increases you have, this build is still viable at farming bosses. If you have good weapons like Eliudas or something, you can still destroy bosses because you do have some good gun damage increases. So first, I want to go into the two items that are very essential to this build. That is the Bloodletter Legendary Class mod. If you would be healed, you gain shields instead. If you would get shield or regen health, you would also gain shield regen. Then we have the Deathless Artifact, which reserves all but 1 HP, so we have 1 HP, and gives you 100% shield capacity. You get recharge rate and delay as well, but we don't really care about those. We only care about the capacity for this build. And as you can see, I have almost 45k shields and just 1 HP. So into the build, first we have Fire in the Skag Den, which when you deal splash damage, you deal bonus instant damage. Now, pretty much every grenade should actually work for splash damage. As you can see, this is one of the best ones, a Merv Hex. And basically what this does, you throw it out, it tracks the targets, it pops into 3 grenades. Now they do blow up, but what they also do is when they're flying around, they constantly follow targets around and shoot beams of radiation into them, which does a ridiculous amount of damage, and that does count as splash damage. So pretty much every grenade should count as splash damage to do this extra damage and help with any other talents that affect splash damage. So next we have Means of Destruction. Whenever you do splash damage, there's a chance to add ammo to your current weapons magazine and a smaller chance to add grenades back. This is very important. This is how we have unlimited grenades, basically. Then we have Torque Cross Promotion 4 out of 5. Chance to double splash damage radius, which should help with any explosive weapons, any grenades, anything like that. Then we have Pull the Holy Pin. Your grenades can now crit. It has a 30% crit chance at 3 out of 3, but any crit hit or critical damage increase does not affect this. But they have a 30% chance. This adds a ridiculous amount of damage to grenades. Next, we have Vampire, which whenever Moze damages an enemy with a thrown grenade, for every enemy hit, she restores a portion of the missing health. 5 out of 5, this restores 20% of missing health per enemy hit. Now, if we go back to our class mod, anything that would heal us heals our shields now. So anything our grenades hitting is healing us a bunch of percent of our max HP, but instead that's our max shields, which is ridiculously high. Also, our grenade hits a bunch of targets because every grenade are splits into 3 and then they hit multiple targets. So we're pretty much unkillable with even like 2 mobs. Basically unkillable. Even one boss, you're regenerating a ton of shields all the time. So our next talent tree, we're going to be Shields of Retribution, 5 out of 5 Armored Infantry, which gives us gun damage and damage reduction when your shields are active. So this is basically just a passive gun damage and damage reduction increase because we're pretty much unkillable. Then we have this, which gives us max shields and shock damage resistance, mainly for the max shield, just so we don't get one shot by some stuff. Then we have this, which a portion of your health is reserved for more max shields, 3 out of 3, 5 out of 5 is, or 5 out of 3 is 100%. And if you don't know how the shield or the health reserving works, even though our artifact puts us down to 1 HP and reserves all of our HP, you're still considered to still have that HP, you just can't get healed above 1. So anything else that would reserve health still considers it as your full health bar, pretty much. So this does work to give you all that shielding for reserved health. Then we have Drowning a Base, which is a kill skill, which stacks up 3 times and basically reduces your fire rate. I have 3 out of 5, so it reduces my fire rate by 1.5% per stack to give us 12% gun damage per stack. I think it's a very good trade-off. Lasts 15 seconds and has 3 stacks. Very good damage increase, especially when farming circles of slaughters and groups of enemies. Whenever Moze scores a critical hit, she deals bonus instant damage. And as we were talking about, our grenades hit a ton and can crit 30% now, so they deal that extra incendiary damage as well. Ridiculously big damage increase, especially off a grenade like this. Then we have 33 Desperate Measures. So this is depending on how low your health is, you get gun damage. The lower your health, the greater the increase. With 5 out of 3, which gives me 2 extra from my class mod, I have up to 83% gun damage. This is just 83% gun damage increase because we have 1 HP. That's pretty much how it works. Very big gun damage increase. Now this is where the build switches up compared to some other builds I've seen that follow the same lines. Since I want this build for a Circle of Slaughter trial farming build, I want to go with Phalanx Doctrine, which, if you don't know what this is a ridiculous kill skill. This is something that Moze, or not Moze, this is something that Zane should have. This is basically a kill skill that stacks up an unlimited amount of times that gives you 12% gun damage, 18% max shields. That's 6 out of 5, so that's 1 extra from a class mod. Stacking. That stacks unlimited amount of times, but every stack lasts 30 seconds, and new stacks don't refresh. So, you can just get tons of stacks of this, killing big groups of enemies, and always have tons of extra shields, which you don't need that much, but a ton of extra gun damage as well. And with how I'm doing this build, the gun damage is used. We're actually using weapons with throwing our grenades out. Now, our last 3 points, we just put in Cloud of Lead, which you have a chance when shooting to deal additional incendiary damage and not consume ammo. So that's pretty much the entire build. You'll see in the footage basically how this build works is I just throw grenades and spam bullet shots in between. Now, for Circle of Slaughter, I'm pretty much always just using this burning flacker, which, if you don't know if a flacker is, you'll see in the video, you shoot, it blows up a bunch of shots. It's like a flak gun. It's been in other Borderlands too, so pretty much everyone knows about this thing. And it has good splash damage, so it gets a bunch of bonuses from all our other bonuses. It's fire. I don't know if the flagger can come in anything besides fire and non-elemental. I'm not sure. But it does a ridiculous amount of damage, especially since I'm fighting a lot of humanoids, which will at some point just be health. Deals a ton of damage. The flagger is really good, but usually the flagger is dangerous because you have to get closer or at a medium range to shoot shots. And if you hit yourself with this thing, you're destroying yourself. Not this build, because you're, unkillable. You're just going to full heal those shields instantly with throwing grenades and shooting. And as you see in the video, I'm basically just spamming grenades and spamming shoot the entire time. It takes a lot of skill, don't worry. It's actually incredibly easy. But doing this with the flacker or other weapons and not just grenades, why does the symbol keep changing? But doing this with a weapon, say like the flacker, anything else, and not just throwing grenades, you get a lot of extra damage than just throwing grenades around. For the shield, I'm using the transformer, just a lot of extra shielding. Not that big of a deal. Also 100% shock damage into shields. We really don't need that for this build. This is mainly just for high capacity. You can use pretty much any shield that has some decent capacity. The grenade, we already went over the Merv Hex. There's also a lot of other good grenades. There's storm fronts, like right here. This should work pretty well. Pretty much anything you can consistently hit a lot of targets with is going to be a very good grenade. But I think this is one of the best. Also, it's radiation damage. And our artifact, which happened to roll really well, gave us the Deathless with the radiation damage increases. So overall, one of the most overpowered mob grinding builds. Absolutely ridiculous. So subscribe if you want to see more Borderlands 3 content. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you think about this build. If you have any questions about how anything in this build specifically works. If you have any questions about where to get any of the items I showed on this build, leave a comment down below. And thanks for watching. So I recorded me going over this build actually before I got the grenade that I use in my most recent glitch videos using this build, and I wanted to go back and show you guys this grenade because it's one of the rarest grenades in the game, and it's what I used in my most recent glitch videos, and a lot of people want to know what this build is. So in this video with the footage, I'm going to be showing you guys the Merv Hex, which has radiation damage on it. You can get different elements on these, but this is only Merv, which means it splits into 3 Merv grenades, so it splits into those. Now the ultra rare one right here is the reoccurring hex that I got cryo on. Now reoccurring basically gives you divider and merv. So reoccurring or divider actually makes it splits into 2 grenades in flight. Then those 2 grenades will spawn 3 mervs, which basically means this doubles the amount of grenades that come out compared to the merv grenade. But I got cryo on this, so I can't actually use this grenade really in the offline version of the Circle Slaughter because everything's anointed, and anointed are pretty much immune to cryo. So I just wanted to show you guys the grenade that I use in those monsters and glitch videos and why it's so ridiculously strong.
Hey there, player! Welcome to the COB Slaughter.